Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. Today we have a very special episode today. We'll be discussing what it means to be part of the LGBTQ community and how to handle conflict, but from a youth perspective. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. And the first question I have for my friends here are, with being part of the LGBTQ community, what are some of y'all's favorite parts about it?
My favorite parts of LGBT community is that there's a lot of supportive people that will make you feel like you are cared for and understand what you're going through.
My favorite part is being in the community. My opinion is just finding people that understand me and the things that I'm going through, such as coming out, knowing the struggles of coming out, and dealing with people who don't respect me or who I choose to
Yeah.
love.
And, also as being a member of the LGBTQ community, I know that there's also challenges to it. So can y'all also speak to that part for y'all as well?
Some struggles with being a part of the community that I've seen are people judging you, not being legally allowed to love your significant other in different countries, and dealing with people who think that your sexuality is just another when you explain it to them.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about what you mean by another, so the audience can understand a little bit better.
Uh, it's mostly just pansexuality.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to explain pansexuality, people tell me, no, this is just bisexuality. You're just
Yeah.
adding more to it so that way you can be different and special.
Yeah.
And it's annoying, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm sure other identities also feel that, sometimes people think that A stands for ally rather than
Hmm.
ace, and all these different things, right? People put us in a box. How about yourself?
The things that I found challenging is that even though there's a lot of supportive people, it's still it's kind of like it's the good with the bad. There's so many people that support you for who you are, but there's so many people out there who will make you feel lesser or feel like you're smaller than you are for being part of the community or really just loving someone the same gender as you. And it's really hard when it comes to like really wanting to have like a relationship with someone because it's like you're scared of what people would think and say. And so it's basically just what people say and think of you can be like the most scariest things.
And so what I'm hearing is like one of the challenges is just not being understood and maybe not having a safe space. So kind of building on that, how do y'all handle unhealthy environments that y'all been in, whether that be school, maybe public spaces? I know earlier we were kind of talking about malls, maybe with family, maybe even friends. How have y'all handled that?
How I handle it is it's always better to just find someone else who you can talk to about your emotions, finding ways to distance yourself, and basically finding like maybe it's like someone you can't be away from. It's mostly to just tell someone who can help understand it, like help that person understand how you feel. It's better to really just try to like find healthier ways to get out the situation.
I personally don't have an extremely unhealthy environment, so I can't exactly help with this question. All I can say is find a trusted adult and talk to them, such as a teacher you feel comfortable with, a family member that understands what you're going through, or even if you have one, a therapist or counselor.
And I know right now we're kind of talking about more physical environments, like I said, schools, public places, and things like that. But there's also the other side of digital spaces now. And there, like, y'all have really been talking about community. And, when I was younger, that was a big space for me as a queer kid. And now, I mean, we just have
we have huge access to other people's opinions, whether they're really supportive or whether they're really hateful. So, can y'all tell me how y'all have handled maybe seeing not nice, not kind, hateful discourse about being part of the LGBTQ community?
How I personally handle hate towards me, don't follow in my footsteps exactly, is by getting onto the person for giving me hate and occasionally correcting them, or I'll be sassy and pretend like they don't bother me and then block them in both situations.
When I deal with someone online who is toxic, I feel like correcting them isn't really a bad thing. So, like, genuinely taking your time out to be like, hey, I'm just here doing what I love or what I do. And then, blocking them and just ending it. Because it's better to just really put your point across and how you feel and to let them know that their words don't hurt you or do not matter.
Yeah.
And just block it and end it at that.
Yeah. I think education can also be helpful. I know sometimes it can be a little draining when it's maybe too there y'all are nodding y'all's heads, okay? It can be really draining sometimes when it's constant, 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 but sometimes people would genuinely have never met a person part of the LGBTQIA community. So like really education, as draining as it can be sometimes, it can really give someone else a point, like a different point of view that they probably have never heard of or experienced. So kind of going on to that, kind of talking about people you may meet, strangers out in the community, right? Maybe they don't understand us and they start being rude. How would y'all handle that? Say it's like one quick interaction, maybe they make a comment and things of that sort. How would y'all deal with that the best that y'all could?
One way that I handle someone being rude to me in public is I normally go into Hot Topic or even Spencer's because this definitely happens to me in the mall, and I just stick beside a worker as much as I can.
When I'm in a situation with that, I tend to just walk away and annoy because giving them the time out of your day will make things even more harder than do good.
So this is kind of we're getting towards the last of the questions that I have for y'all. The second to last question is, with being part of the LGBTQIA community, for listeners who maybe have a loved one who are also part of the community, what would you say they could do to help their loved ones? Well, really, the question that I have on here is, how can people in your life help you and support you?
The best way to help people that's beginning to join the LGBTQ is to basically show them safe spaces, let them know that whatever people say, to not really let it get under their skins, and just generally help them understand and show them that they shouldn't be afraid of who they are.
There are plenty of ways that your family member and friends can support you, which my friend did say, but I'm going to say all the things that show that they don't support you, such as telling you it's just a phase, not calling you by the name that you prefer, and telling you straight up that you aren't like that at all and that you'll get over it. They can even tell you that you're one thing when you're the other, such as pansexuality, as I said earlier. I've talked to a lot of pansexual people, and a lot of things, a lot of the troubles that they go through is they tell somebody that they're pansexual and they explain what it's like because a lot of people get confused. And after explaining, they get told that, oh no, you're just bisexual. You're just overcomplicating it and adding on to the LGBT. The way that they can support you is just by doing all of the opposite of what
Right.
I just pointed out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then I was gonna ask, this is my last question, and it's really just kind of giving a word of advice to someone who might be learning more about themselves and might be realizing that they may be part of the LGBTQ community. What is some word of advice that you would give to them as they start their journey?
My word of advice is just finding friends that if you aren't comfortable speaking up for yourself, that they'll help stand up for you and protect you in like little scenarios such as meeting someone rude in the mall.
As I always said, and things that I'm still learning to deal with as myself, is that being part of LGBTQ is that it's really nice to be part of the community, and it's really nice to know there are people out there that cares. So it's always good to put yourself around people that do, and also just genuinely, it's all has to also do with just self-love, because genuinely, there's going to be so many people out there who say so many hurtful things or trying to make you feel lesser than you are. But having self-love and to understand that you are special the way you are, you shouldn't feel bad for anything. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Yay. Okay, so big theme today was just community, community, community. Well, thank y'all so much. Those are all the questions that I have. And of course, before we finish the podcast, we always have a relationship goal and a recommendation, which I'm gonna pass it off to you again to share the relationship goal.
Finding yourself that really independence, basically having that self-love and self-caring, as I was saying before, to just genuinely love yourself, to do the things that you like, and to genuinely just know that you are loved and there's someone out there who cares about you. And
For who you are and
yeah.
not based on other people's expectations. Okay, what is the recommendation for today?
The recommendation is both of the Last of Us games. They go into queer stuff, but it's also a very engaging story.
Yeah, so there's a lot of queer representation. Well, thank y'all so much. Very honored to be here with y'all. And thank y'all so much for sharing something so personal. And so, okay, well, thank y'all so much. That is all for today. If y'all want to keep up with us, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at advocacywaco.com, at advocacywaco. If you're looking for more prevention and education specific content, you can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention. And that is all we have. Thank y'all so much. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from PNE or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.